I really want to talk about what makes the lives of our residents difficult every single day, like greedy corporations raising prices to pay their executives and shareholders, polluters that literally treat communities in my district like poisoning them as the cost of doing business, politicians that put their own interests before the residents, many of which in this committee that own stocks in war weapon manufacturing. So when we do have to vote yes, or my colleagues have to get up on the floor and vote for more bombs and weapons in other countries, they actually make money, personal money. Their stock values go up. Look it up. People like our disgraced, twice impeached president, who represents the worst of the unchecked American capitalism, who, as we speak, is sitting in a courtroom as the first ever American president to face criminal prosecution. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think my colleagues know where I'm going to go with this because I consistently try to get them recentered. I'm really sick and tired of us not leaving the campaigning at the Capitol steps. This is just another committee hearing where we're bringing campaign activity into this chamber and not being honest with the American people. This is not what our residents sent us to Washington to work on. Mr. Chair, earlier this year, the committee's own Democratic staff, produced a report showing that Trump received more than $7.8 million in unconstitutional payments from foreign governments while he was commander-in-chief. This is important because we talk about influence in our elections, gerrymandering in our districts, corrupting our democracy, and this outside influence. But it's happening right here on our soil. And it happened on our soil by a sitting president. The report was based on a limited set of documents produced by his own accounting firm, Mazars. And even though, however, literally, it said $7.8 million in unconstitutional payments from foreign governments while he was our commander-in-chief. However, before the committee could receive any more documents related to Russia, Chairman Comer and the forever impeached president's lawyers stopped the production of any further documents. And Professor Snyder, I don't know if you've been following it. It's something that I know our ranking member Raskin heard me talk about this all the time. I always call him my professor about the emoluments calls and how dangerous and how connected it is of just even the subject matter of what we're talking about today. But do you think if the committee were interested in understanding the threats of political warfare facing the United States, as well as the influence of peddling directed by foreign governments against our country, shouldn't it demand that the accounting firm and the forever impeached president produce all those payments received by the president from foreign governments?
I would have certainly have thought so, since every serious scholarly treatment and every also document that I've read from the Chinese side stresses the importance of such financial relationships in recruitment and long-distance management.
I agree, and yet instead, the current committee have worked to help the forever impeached president bury the evidence and keep the facts from the American people. I think it's incredibly dangerous. And lastly, just because it really made me angry, and I think it makes my constituents angry, but I'm going to submit for the record this article called "Air Force Crew Made an Odd Stop on a Routine Trip, Trump's Scottish Resort." Can I submit it for the record?
Without objection.
Yeah. This one had me stuck really with me, and it just is so blatant. The article details how military crews flying supplies to and from the Middle East were redirected from their usual overnight stops at the U.S. military bases in Europe to a small commercial airport in Scotland outside then President Trump's Turnberry Golf Resort, where they stayed with our tax dollars. This, despite the fact that both refueling and the cost of overnight food and lodging for the crew were less expensive at established, infrequently used U.S. military bases where they typically stopped. Surprise, surprise for all my committee staff, colleagues here. Trump's resort, which lost $4.5 million in 2017, saw all of a sudden, whoopee, an increase of $3 million in profits in 2018. Shameful. It is disgusting. And it's just these kinds of things of pay to play. Having literally a sitting president run his organization, his business out of the White House is equally as dangerous to our democracy and the influence on our country. This is something that I hope my colleagues really take seriously, because I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican. No one ever should sit there in the White House, out of the Oval Office, running a business to profit themselves. It is unconstitutional and, again, demands that kind of accountability, and that's what I want this committee to address. Thank you so much. I yield.